Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Founders Club. All of you that are running for Founders Club, you're in the right group. And you're at the right meeting. So, just want to make that clear. We are so excited about tonight. I'm going to, first of all, put your Founders Club points in the chat. If anybody has any, I know that I saw somebody already has a unique account that's on here. So shout out to Jamie. If anybody else has any unique accounts, put them in the chat. And please make sure you keep your phones muted tonight. So Founders Club points, and if you anybody in your accountability group, if they did something exciting this week, shout them out. If you completed your assignments, shout yourself out. So we're so proud of you and so proud of you for showing up and taking accountability for the goal that you set for yourself, which is earning this trip. Tonight, I've got one of my favorite people in the whole world, one of my favorite speakers in the whole world, somebody I could listen to probably 24/7. I say all the time, he could inspire a pen to write without anybody even holding it. And he is probably of all the mentors that I have, he would be the one that I take the most seriously. One, because he has my best interest in mind, but also two, because he's been in the trenches just like we are. He has done the thing just like we have, and I believe what he says, and I take it to heart, and I listen to him. And I was able to monopolize a little bit of his time in Dallas, and the things that he said to me really struck home. And I have come home and started implementing the things that we talked about. And I asked him, I said, we've got this great group of people who are working really hard to find partners and build their business. Would you come on and talk to them? And of course, he graciously said yes. So tonight we have got a Singular founder, direct sales recipient of the legendary award in the business. He is a complete legend in the business, and I know I just screwed up the whole name of that award. I put it on the flyer, the right name. But we have got Rudy Revak. Rudy, are you there?
I am here, Melissa. How you doing tonight?
Fantastic. Fantastic. We are all
Yeah, that's right. That's the right answer. I'm
so
so happy to be here with all of you tonight. This is a pleasure for me.
well. We are very excited and honored to have you. This group of people, we meet every single Thursday night. They all are in accountability groups in order to earn the Founders Club trip. So last year, I think we had over 30 come out of our group that earned it. And this
Wow.
year, we're going to have even more earn it. So really excited about the people that are in here. But let's just go ahead and get started. So first of all, we have got a lot of new people. We've got a lot of new people that are on this call. We've got a lot of new partners that are coming in, and they want to earn the trip, of course. But there's a lot of people that have never met you before. So before we even get into all of the good stuff, could you just kind of tell who you are and a little bit about your story and that kind of thing, then introduce yourself to people?
Sure. Thanks, Melissa. But first of all, I want to congratulate you for doing this for everybody and keeping those people on track. You folks out there are so very lucky to have Melissa as your leader there because she has been so loyal and hardworking and dedicated and been through the ups and downs and has all the experience and is persistent in our business. So you're very fortunate to have her. And thanks for inviting me on. But I have now been in this industry, in this type of business. I started, let's see, in 3 weeks from now, November 17th, I will be in 54 years. And I started, I'll condense the story, but after I went through school and I didn't go on to college, I wound up in the Army. I spent several years in the Army. When I got out of the Army, I was going to college full time and working full time. I had spent most of my young life being raised on a chicken farm, so we never had any money. We lived great because we were on a farm, but we never had any money. And so my goal was I needed to figure out how to make some money. And as I say, I got out of the Army. I went back to work in a retail store. And because the Army at that time, they had this thing called the GI Bill where I could go to college and they would help pay for it. and they were willing to give me $271 a month to go sit in school. And I was good at sitting and I needed the money. So I did it. So I was working full time, going to school full time. And to make the story short, one day I came home from work and a total stranger was just calling people out of the telephone book and my phone rang. And I answered the phone. I said, hi. And the guy said, hi, would you like to make some more money? And I immediately said, don't hang up. I said, I'm interested. And he invited me to a business presentation. I lived in a little farm town in the middle of New Jersey. So I had to go 60 miles to get to this meeting round trip. And that night they showed me how, if I was willing to work, if I was ambitious enough, that I could make a lot of money and I could change my life and I could get a new direction and I could reach my dreams. And I bought into that. Unfortunately, that business I first joined in 1970 was it was a soap business, and it cost $3,217 to join. And if you think about that, in 1970, $3,217 was like about $40,000 or $50,000 in today's dollars. And of course, I had no money. I was a farm boy. I was broke. And I went home and told my dad that night what I saw, where I'd been at this meeting. I drew some circles on a napkin on the kitchen table, trying to explain it to him, what I could remember. And he got all excited about it. He said, look, Rudy, he said, those people are trying to show you how to work smart and not just hard for the rest of your life. And I said, wow, you're right, Dad, but where am I ever going to get that kind of money? $3,217. And so it kind of went by the wayside. Make a long story short, about 2.5, 3 weeks later, my dad came to me with a check for $3,217. Makes me emotional every time I talk about it. He had put up the farm and the house so he could borrow that money so I could get in that business. And I got started as soon as I could. And I literally got a basement full of soap. And some people say, well, that must have been one of those pyramid things. They charge you so much money. No, you have to understand, back in those days, there was no UPS. There was no Amazon. There were no Federal Expresses. So we became what they called the direct distributor, the local distributor in an area. And people would come to us, pick up the products and go sell the products, because there were no delivery systems. So we were kind of like the local warehouse. And again, to condense the story, for the first 9 months I was in the business, I was the best. I was the most terrific. I was the most outstanding failure that they had. I did terrible. Now, I was still going to school full time. I was still working full time, and I was trying to do the business part time. But even though I wasn't doing well, I sold some products. I made money from selling some products, and I enrolled a few people, but they didn't stick around very long. But fortunately, my background is I was actually born in Germany. My mom and dad are Hungarian and Romanians who escaped after the war to get away from the communists. And then they were in a refugee camp in southern Germany, and that's where I was born, as a refugee. And when we were 5 years old, we came to America. The reason I'm telling you that is because my German background gives me one trait that most of the world doesn't have. That's a thick skull, a hard head. I was so hard-headed, I wasn't good at listening, but I was also so hard-headed, I wouldn't quit. Because I said to myself, if there's anybody making it in this business, and I saw the people, I saw the stories, I saw the people who are making the money, I said, if they can figure it out, then I'm going to figure it out someday too. And I hung in there. And sure enough, pretty soon it turned around. And once it turned around, things got better and better and better. I left New Jersey, where I started, moved to Maryland, spent several years in Maryland building the business down there because the system was a little different. We became area coordinators. And then from there, the company I was with was expanding internationally because I spoke some German. They asked me to go to Germany, spent a couple of years in Germany building a business, personal business. But at this point, I was also involved with the company, but I still built my personal business. And then from there, they sent me to Canada, built another very successful business in Canada. From Canada, I went to Italy, spent a couple of years in Italy building a business. And again, always building my own personal business as well as being involved with the company. In 1983, came back to the United States, got involved with another direct selling business that we made very successful. In 1995, I decided to leave that company and start my own company. And then a couple of years later, of course, we went on and we started Singular. And so there's 54 years of the story. So please believe me, I have everything that you are going through, all the discouragement and disappointment. I've been there, every single bit of it. I've been there, and I've been in it in Germany and Italy and Canada and all over the world. So I understand. But you know what else I understand? That this is one of the greatest opportunity on the face of this earth for the average person. And I say the average person who wants to reach financial independence, this is great for, because anybody can do it. I've seen people in this business who came in who are doctors and lawyers and engineers and boomed in the business. I've seen people come in who are truck drivers, factory workers, homemakers, nurses, teacher, and boom into business. And I've seen people get into business who start and quit, not because it's because they didn't want to bad enough. So there's kind of my story and how I got involved in this business. And by the way, that's why I love it so much. That's why I'm still here today. That's why people say to me all the time, Rudy, after 50 some years, why do you still do it? Because I love it. And I love what we do for other people. I love that we're changing people's lives constantly. Why? Because that's what happened to me. If it wasn't for this business, I don't know where I'd be. I would have been I don't know, I was a chicken farmer. I might have been working in a factory somewhere back in those days. But thanks to this industry, it gave me a chance. And so I'm so excited about what we're doing and what people like Melissa are doing to change other people's lives. That's the number one goal today. So there's my story.
Wow.
Sorry.
That every time I hear it, it gets better. I mean, it just impacts me more and more. And before we continue, I would love to take credit for this group all alone, but I have got two compadres that work with me, and that's Stacy Loftus and Christy Van Dam. And the three of us are the ones that we spearhead this group of amazing people, and we learn
Oh,
from them.
is Stacy on tonight? I don't see it.
Yep,
Stacy and
Stacy and
Christy are on.
they're both on too. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Hi, guys.
Hey, Rudy. Thank you for
Welcome.
joining us. Appreciate you.
Oh, happy to be here with you, buddy.
All right. So I've got a question. So when we were
Okay.
talking in Dallas, we were talking about I was telling you a little bit about where I was in my business, and I've got this desire to just build it bigger, and I just keep getting this word bigger in my head. Talking to people about the bigger kits, and starting at a bigger at a bigger investment. Can you talk a little bit about what your recommendations were to me when we had talked?
Okay. One of the things that you need to know about or understand is I didn't join this business because of the products. Yes, the products I got involved with, they were excellent products. In those days, it was a soap product, but it was one of the first non-toxic, non-caustic, biodegradable. It was a great product. But I realized and I learned early on that it's not the product that's going to make the difference, because every product, no matter how good it is, no matter how great our products are, the science behind them, all the technology, they are terrific. They work great. And the problem with all of our products is that they have no legs, no arms, and no mouths. They can't go around saying, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me. In order to do that, we need people. I mean, it's such a simple concept that, hey, if I get more people, I'm going to sell more product. People say to me all the time, you mean you don't want to sell more product? Of course I do. I want to sell lots and lots and lots of product. But the way we sell a lot of product is by getting more people involved who want to earn extra income. If I've got one person involved and they get 10 customers, that's great. But if I get 100 people, they each get 10 customers, wow, my business is growing. And so that's the real secret to success, is the fact that we don't sell. What we sell is opportunity. And that opportunity consists of products that are fantastic and hope. We sell hope and opportunity, not a business. What we're selling to people is a promise of the future, like they gave me. It wasn't the business I was buying. It was a chance for a future. It was a chance to reach my dreams. It was a chance to build something instead of working a job forever. And so we've got to remember that we're changing people's lives by giving them and promoting to them hope and opportunity. And you know what? In today's world, with the way things are right now, with as negative as things are, the price is up, income's down, all the negativity that you hear out there about how bad things are, the gas prices and all the things that are going on, people need us. they need us more than ever before, more than back in the 70s when I joined. And because an extra $500 or $1,000 a month right now would make a huge difference to a lot of people in this country. An extra couple of $1,000 a month could make a huge difference for a lot of people in this country. So we have that ability to do that. And so the reason I'm saying that so much is because when we get people started in the business, sometimes, and I've seen a lot of this happen in our business, and not just singular, but my many years in the business, people get afraid to ask people to join and invest a little bit of money. As I just told you, I put in $3,200. Would I be here today if they didn't? If they would have sold me one bottle of soap and said, okay, you're in the business, now go make money. And I got all those no's and I got all that discouragement. I got all that disappointment in that first 9 months I was in the business when nobody wanted to join me. Would I be here today? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I would, but maybe not. And so what I learned to do very early on was I would keep the plan very simple, showing people how the plan worked. Here's the 5 ways to make money in our business. If you do this, you get this. You do this, you get that. You can do this, you get that. And tell stories about the people who are doing it. And even when I was new, of course, I didn't have a story to tell. I told the stories about my people around me, the people who were not my upline, because my upline had quit the business right after I joined. So I didn't have an upline. But there were people around me who were doing great. And I was telling their story and keeping it as simple as possible. But when you get someone started in the business, and this is what Melissa was asking me really to talk about, is I always had this, it was always simple for me to start new people. After I showed them the plan, if they were interested, I would say, look, would you like to make a lot of money, a little money, or just be a customer? And you say, well, that's pretty simple. Yes, it is. But you got to ask those questions instead of saying, okay, get started with one bottle of product and then maybe later on upgrade them. If you would have done that to me, I probably wouldn't be in the business today. Okay? So I was always concerned about that. So whatever you're focused on, and I don't know, there's different teams focused on, some are focused on the diet plan, which I love, and some are focused on the gut collective. Whatever you're focused on, make sure that you've got a pack put together of so you can say to a new person, would you like to make a lot of money, a little money, or just be a customer? They say, well, I want to make a lot of money. Good. Then I recommend that you buy, let's say it's a gut collective, and you put a package of 3 gut collectives together. Not 1, 3. Why? You need 1 to use, you need 1 to show, and you need 1 to sell. Why would you only start 1 if you're in business? You're going into business. You need some product. So you start with 3. If they at that point say, well, okay, I can't afford that. Okay, well, let's get you started just as to make a little bit of extra money. We'll get you started with 1 of the gut collectives. All right. They say, well, okay, I can't afford. Okay, then let's get you started as a customer. But don't start at the bottom as customer and then try to work them way up later. Start at the top and work your way down. Does that make sense? Have I tried to make it simple enough?
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what I came home and I was just like, you know, you, it's like you hear these things. I mean, I've been here almost 10 years and you hear these things, but then you hear it in a way and it's just like, oh, click, that makes sense. And
I mean, even the diet kit, if you have an advanced in a GLP-X, what's that cost? About
$674.
$674. Big deal in today's world. $600 to get into business. You need one to use, 1 to show, and 1 to sell. All right, you say, wow, that's $1,800 or whatever it comes out to be. Well, big deal. People have credit cards. I mean, my dad put up his farm and his house so I could borrow the money, right? And $1,800 in today's world is nothing for someone to get into business. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you want to load people down with product. I'm talking about the person like I was who says, I want to make some extra money. I want to be in business. Because you know the key here? If you start them that way, guess what they're going to do when they start a new person? The same thing. And you'll duplicate that system. And now you got people starting at $1,800 and making yourself, I don't know, 20, 30, 40%, whatever, whatever it comes out to be, and make yourself a significant amount of money, not just you. And it's not about you, it's about the new people. They get into business and they sell a kit like that and get new people started. First of all, they've got committed people. Second of all, they're putting some cash in their pocket right away. Now, is everyone going to do that? No. But if you don't ask, no one's going to do it. So that was my point, I think, that Melissa, that I was making to you.
Yeah.
Did I explain it well enough?
Oh, yeah. And I love it. So talk to us a little bit about what else you recommend in order to build our business, and what things should we be focusing on?
Well, how many hours do you have? No.
You need.
If you listen to me, at any time, you hear me speak, you're always going to hear me talk about what I think is the most important part of our business. Because, the company is vital, of course, because that's the foundation. That's who writes your checks, gets your products, and does all those things for you, services to you. Great. The products, phenomenal. Okay. And they're very important in our business. And we want to sell a ton of product. Great. The opportunity, the compensation plan, unique. No one else has one. Those three things, there's no doubt about how important they are. But that's not what's most important in our business. The most important ingredient in our business is always in you. Because look around, folks, there are people in our industry, in our business right now, who are making thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Some have made millions of dollars in our business, literally. So Melissa gets the exact same product you get. Stacy gets the exact same compensation plan you have. Who else did you say was on?
Christy Van Dam.
Oh, Christy. Yeah, it's great. And Christy gets exactly the same company that you have. So the company, the products, and the opportunity never change. They're the same. Why is it that some people get in our business and they make a fortune, and others get in and give up? Why? Because the most important ingredient is not those three things. The most important part of our business is you. And I was very fortunate when I started in this business many years ago, that one of my initial mentors was a gentleman named Jim Rohn, who you've probably heard, many of you have probably heard that name, seen some books and tapes. Unfortunately, he passed a few years ago. When he was in our company, he was just Jim. He wasn't Jim Rohn. He hadn't become famous yet. All right. So I was fortunate enough to have him as a mentor. And one of the things he convinced me of early on, I remember I was a 23-year-old kid. I was a sponge. I was listening. I was willing to listen to anything. And Jim convinced me. He said, Rudy, for things to change, you've got to change. And for things to get better, you've got to get better. All that other stuff is important, but the most important ingredient is you. And I bought into that. And he convinced me that if I could change myself, if I would work harder on me than I did on my business, the rest would come along. And it was true. So I was very fortunate that I had a mentor like that back then. So if you really want to know what the difference is, in my opinion, I'll give you 5 simple little ingredients that I have shared all over this world, and they're the ones that made a difference for me. Ingredient number 1, it's in your dreams. It's never can you do something, it's do you want to. I found out years ago that if you want to bad enough, you'll figure out how to do it. I see it in my grandkids. I see it in my son, Brandon. Well, yeah. When they have a vision, when they have something they want bad enough, they figure out how to do it. They'll manipulate me. They'll manipulate Pam, my wife. They'll figure out how to get what they want, right? If their dream is big enough. And so it's the same for us. You can see it in kids because they express that vision. They express what they want quickly. But grown-ups have a tendency to hide it. And don't ever forget that the greatest book that's ever been written says that a man without vision will perish. And I buy into that for sure. never lose that vision, never lose that promise of the future. It's not where you are, it's not where you've been, it's where do you want to go? That's the key to success. And our business gives you the opportunity to go as far, as high as you want. So make sure you take that opportunity and you take advantage of that benefit that we have of expanding that vision. The second thing it takes for people who succeed in our business, in my opinion, and this has been for me, the story for me over all these years, and that is your attitude. It is so easy to get down, especially if you listen to the news media and they keep telling you how bad things are. The economy's bad, and this is bad, and that's bad. And then you got neighbors telling you how bad things are. And then, I mean, the whole world around you, unfortunately, there's so much negativity out there of telling you what you can't do. I believe that it's what you can do. And so you got to protect that attitude. You got to watch your attitude like I don't know, just constantly be aware of it and making sure that you don't let other people influence you and get you down, get you negative. We have the opportunity to have whatever we want and go wherever we want. Got great people around us sharing information and help. And if you need a helping hand, so make sure you stay around positive people. And that's one of the reasons why you'll always hear me say, whenever you have a chance, like I respect you people, and I love you so much for coming on to a seminar like this, not be a Zoom call, not because I'm on it, but because I know, and I learned over my 50 years, that involvement equals success. The more you stay involved, think about it. If you come to a singular event like a Zinc Fest, when it's over, how do you feel? Fantastic, right? Why? Because you've been around for 2 or 3 days, you get around people who are 100% positive. There's no negative, no television, there's no communication. No, everybody's positive, telling you what you can do. And then you get out there in that negative 95% of the world, and they tell you what you can't do, and times are bad, and things are bad. So you got to drag yourself back into these events, into the Zoom meetings. And that's why I love guys like you for putting on these events for people, because that's what made the difference for me. Whenever I got down, and that was often because I'd go out there and get all those no's. And remember, I was trying to get people to give me $3,200. I get all those no's. I'd have to drag myself back to the meetings. We didn't have Zoom back then. I had to physically go and drive to a meeting 60, 30, 70 miles away on a weekly basis. I mean, I'd go a couple of times a week for training and everything. So you got to keep that attitude up. And the one way to do that is stay involved. Stay around us, and we'll help you do that. So one is vision, number two is attitude, number three is belief. This one I found was very hard. It was very hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people around the world. For me, it was really hard because I was a chicken farmer. I was a 23-year-old kid. I'd never made any money. I'd never been successful at anything. So it was hard for me to believe. Now, don't misunderstand. I'd go to the meetings and the trainings and they'd say, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And I'd say, yes, I can. And then I'd leave the room and I'd think, oh, yeah, but not me. What if, I haven't ever done anything like this. I don't know anything about business. You understand? And I realized later on, again, thanks to Jim Rohn, I realized later on that what was happening to me was I was being trained by society that I had to be a certain this or a certain that in order to be successful. And if I didn't fit into their mold of what success was, oh, you can't do that. And I had spent most of my life, the way I like to put it, I don't know, you've all been, I'm sure, to a circus and you've seen these big, beautiful elephants and this beautiful giant elephant that could tear down a house. There's a little chain put on a stake and he's held by that stake. And I heard the story years later how they did that when I went to Africa on a safari. What they do is they take these giant elephants out of the jungle, and they're wild and they're vicious. Elephants are not tame, calm animals. I went on a safari, and when our guide found an elephant herd, they would back up to the herd. They didn't face it. They'd back up so we could take photos, but they were prepared that as soon as that elephant raised his trunk, we were gone, because they would catch those jeeps. They're not vicious like a lion, but they are very, very aggressive. Well, why is that? What happened to that aggressiveness? Well, they take those elephants out of the jungle and they tie a chain around their leg and they tie the other chain around a teak tree. And then that elephant, of course, tries to pull and tug and rip and tear and he tries to get away and he can't get away. And eventually, whether it takes a week, a month, a year, I don't know how long, but eventually that elephant realizes he can't get free. And when that happens, they take the chain away off the tree. They put a little spike in the ground, and that elephant can't pull that spike out of the ground. Not because he can't, because he thinks he can. And I am firmly convinced that we do that same thing in our society. We teach people that you can't because, and they have a million reasons, because you're this or you're that, you're too young, you're too old, you're too black, you're too white, you're too male, you're too female, you're too this, you're too that, you don't have enough education, you have too much education. They convince us we can't. And so I have been on this mission around the world to hopefully get people to believe they can. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. There is no such thing as an extraordinary person. There are only ordinary people who do extraordinary things. See, in our society, I mean, we look at a person like, I don't know, Elon Musk and what he's been able to do. He is very extraordinary in his field. But you know what? Maybe he can't take care of a family and you can. Maybe he can't, I don't know, cook a meal and you can. Maybe he can't take care of someone else and you can because you're a nurse. You understand? We all have our assets and liabilities, so you got to believe that you can. Vision, attitude, belief in yourself. The third thing it takes, and you can't avoid this no matter how hard you try, go to WORK. If you're not willing to work, ain't nothing going to work for you. I know that's not good English, but it's the truth. If you're not willing to work. And I don't mean hard work, because in this business, it's not hard work. I'll tell you what it is, though. It is consistent work. That's what made me successful. One of the best things, and some of you have heard this story, the thing, often people say to me, when I tell them the story about the first 9 months that I was in a business and I didn't do very well, often people say to me, Rudy, well, what changed? How did you change it from that first 9 months? Truth, I had a meeting with a fellow whose name was Marty Day. He was my area coordinator. He wasn't my upline. He was a guy who did meetings and trainings in the area. And one day he had breakfast with me. He asked me if, and he said, Rudy, he said, why aren't you doing better? Because he knew I was trying. And he said, why aren't you doing better? And I pulled out this big list I had, not on a list of paper, but it was in my head. I started telling him, well, you know, Marty, I live so far away and I'm a farm boy. I've never done anything before. And I'm going to college and I'm working full time. I don't have a lot of time. And I came up with this whole list of excuses. And when I was all done giving him this list of excuses, Marty said to me, he said, Rudy, you know what's wrong with your list? I said, what? Tell me. He said, your name's not on it. So what do you mean? He said, all those things aren't a problem because everything you just mentioned, I can show you people have the exact same problem you have. They're young and they're doing it. Some are old and they're doing it. Some are farm people and they're doing it. Some are live far away and they're doing it. All of those things aren't the problem. The problem is you. He said, so, and he said to me, Rudy, if I ask you to do something and I promise you it'll help you, will you promise to do it? I said, Marty, I'll do anything. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. And he reached in his briefcase and he gave me 10 paper clips out of his briefcase. And he said, put these in your left pocket. I put them in my left pocket. He said, now, Rudy, I want you to go out every single day and you got to talk to 10 people. And every time you talk to a person, you get to move that paper clip from your left pocket to your right pocket. And I want you to promise me that every single day for the next 30 days, you are going to move every one of those paper clips every day. I said, I'll do it, Marty. He said, now you can't move 9 one day and 11 the next. That doesn't count. It's 10 a day. I said, I'll do it. He said, I don't even care what you say. You can talk about the products, talk about the opportunity, I just want you talking to people about your business. I said, I'll do it. Leave me alone. So I didn't use paper clips because they would tear the edge of my pants pocket when I was pulling them out. You know, the clip would get hung up. So I started using pennies. I used 10 pennies. And I went out every day and started moving those 10 pennies. And I talked to somebody and say, hi, hey, I'm with a young company in the area and we're looking for some people who'd like to make some extra money. Do you know anyone who might be interested? Guy said, yeah, me. I said, oh, good. Hang on. Let me move my penny. All right. And I take my penny from my left pocket, move my right pocket. I talk to another person. They say, no, I don't know anyone interested. I say, great, thanks. Hang on, let me move my penny. I move my penny to my next pocket. And I did that every day. And the secret to that was this. It wasn't the fact that I was moving the pennies. The fact that I had a goal now every day. Marty was smart, see. I had a goal every day of just sharing my business, sharing the opportunity. I wasn't looking for yeses and nos. My goal was to move the 10 pennies. All of a sudden, when someone said no, didn't bother me. Where before that, when someone said no, they weren't interested or laughed at me for being in this business, I'd get all down and out and I wouldn't talk to anybody for another week because I was feeling bad. All of a sudden, I didn't care about the yeses and nos. I cared that I was active in the business. And that activity leads to results. Why? Because the law of averages is real. If you do something often enough, you will get a ratio of results. Melissa might talk to 10 people and get 3 to say yes. They want to buy or join. Someone else might talk, Stacy might talk to 10 people and he gets 5 people to buy or join. I talk to 10 people, I only get 1. Is that bad? No. Because tomorrow, Stacy goes out and talks to 10, he's got 5. Melissa goes out and talks to 10, she's got 3. I go out, I talk to 100, I got 10, I win. You say, well, Rudy, you had to talk to a lot more. Okay, yeah, but I won. You understand? It's not about hard work. It's consistent activity. That's see. Now, maybe 10's too much for you. Maybe you need to start with 3. Maybe you need to start with 5 a day that you communicate. Maybe you need to start with 1, but every day. Whatever it is, set that goal of activity and the results will follow. And thank God Marty did that for me because that's what changed my life. That all of a sudden people started saying yes. Why? Because of my attitude was so good. All of a sudden. Got it? Number 1, vision. Number 2 is your attitude. Number 3 is belief in yourself. Number 4 is go to work. And last but not least, and this is the one that really made the difference. If I had to pick only one of these, because with this one, the other ones will come along. It's the ability to PERSIT, persist. You've got to be willing to keep on keeping on. I found out years ago that God sends me problems, not because to harm me, but to make me better. And every time I look at a problem and I look back at a problem that I've had in my life, some kind of discouragement or disappointment or things didn't go well, when I look back, if I persisted through it, at the other end, there was always a reward. If I gave up, there was no reward. But if I was willing to persist, there was always a reward. Some of you know my hobby is racing. I drive a stock car, still do to this day. Next, not this weekend, in 2 weeks, I'll be in COTA racing it in Austin. And I still do the Trans Am series. The reason I'm bringing that up is because there's something, man, you got to be willing to persist at to get even near close to good. Because in racing, it's tenths of a second that make the difference, right? 1 second a lap makes a huge difference on a course of 1.5 miles. 1/10 of a second difference makes a huge difference. It's always that little bit of a difference. So if you're willing to persist and if you're willing to try and if you're willing to keep on learning and growing, there will always be ups and there will always be downs because that's the way the good Lord set up this earth. Look at most of you, I'm sure, have kids. Look at your kids. Some days they are a delight. And some days you just want to strangle them, right? Why? Because that's the way life is. Some days your job is great, your boss is terrific, and some days he's terrible. And some days your husband is the best, nicest, most loving man on the face of the earth. And some days he's a miserable old goat. Why? I don't know, because that's how life is. There's always ups and downs. And if you're never willing to persist, you never get the rewards. Because everything that God has set up takes persistence. You're trying, and boom, you finally get it. So those are my keys. And I really believe that that's what makes the difference. It's not in the products. It's not in the compensation system, and it's not in the company. Although all three of those are very important, especially the company in today's world. Some of you know how many companies have changed their model and taken incomes away from distributors. You've heard the stories. Okay, I promise you, we will not do that. Well, we're not doing that. We're actually doubling down on our direct selling business. We're getting stronger at it instead of less strong at it. So, but in this industry and in today's world, there's never been a better time for you than right now, folks. So that was a long answer, Melissa.
Awesome. That was so, you guys show him some love in the comments. Thank him for jumping on. And I've got it, since this is the Founders Club group, I've got a fun question for you.
Okay.
So always go to our Founders Clubs trips. What is your favorite part about the Founders Club trip, and why do they want to be on that trip?
Well, my favorite part is always being with you guys. I'm very fortunate. I've been able to go all over the world. I've been to so many darn beautiful places. It's not the location for me, although it used to be when I first got into business. I mean, that was magic to be able to go to a place that had beaches. Wow. You know, to get on a plane and go, that was exciting. But to me, today, the best part is being around the other business partners, learning from them, sharing with them, talking to them, hearing their past, their stories. You know, one of the benefits of being at Founders Club is outside of just your own organization, you get to meet all these other people and get to ask them questions and how did you do it and what happened to you? And you know, the funny part is they're all going to have stories about how negative it was, the hard times they went through, because there's nobody at the top of our business who did it without having some difficult times, without having some ups and downs. And it's great to hear those stories because it gives you confidence. Wow, she really did have a hard time like me. And she could make it, and I can make it too. So that's my favorite part. But I do love the beaches and I love the sun. So
Yes, I love all of it too. We thank you so much for being on and for blessing us with your knowledge and for just taking your time. I know you're at home, taking your time to come on and be with us and teach us. And we love learning from you. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks, Melissa. Nice to be with you guys. And folks, I look forward to seeing you all on the beach. Not just the next beach, but all of the beaches around the world. So don't stop with this Founders Club. We got lots of beaches to go visit.
That's right.
See y'all. Good night.
Good night. All right, I am going to let Stacy and Christy give you your assignments for this week and let them close it out. So, Stacy, you want to go first?
Yep, guys, I'm just going to say this. We are down to the end of the month, the first month of Founders Club. So what I want you guys to focus on is getting a unique partner if you do not have one, or a unique account if you do not have one. Lock that in before the end of the month. And guess what? With the great promotions we have going on, use those to utilize getting that unique account. Okay. If you've not got your 1,200 inception points, make sure you do that. If you've already done one or the other, double down. Okay. If you've got 1,200 inception points, shoot for 2,400, get the other 5 points. If you've got one unique account, go for another one. Or if you've got a quick start that's going for manager, make sure they get that manager rank locked in, or whether it be silver going for gold or whatever it might be. So that's kind of your assignment for me. Is I want by the end of the month, everyone on this Zoom to have a minimum of 1,200 inception points and a minimum of one unique account. And you guys can do it. You really can. No matter where you're sitting at right now, with what we have going on this month with the promotions, you can knock it out over the next week and probably 3 or 4 days, whatever it is. So that's it. Christy, I want to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Stacy. And that was great, Rudy. Amazing as always. So my assignment, we have an amazing corporate Zoom happening Monday night. Okay. If you don't know about it, get a hold of your upline and find out about it. I want you to commit to bring 5 people onto that Zoom. Now, I'm not saying ask 5 people to get on that Zoom. I'm saying bring 5 people. So if you have to talk to 20, I mean, I got 6 no's today, guys, but I got 3 yeses. So if you have to talk to 20 to get 5, then talk to 20 to get 5. If you have to talk to 50 to get 5, then talk to 50 to get 5. Prospects, partners, it's for everybody. It is for everybody. And I promise you, if you think you don't know it, it needs you. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we have these Zooms and we have these meetings and we have these trainings, you're like, I already know what they're talking about. I already, you know what I mean? I've heard it all of that, going to the meetings, doing the stuff. You guys, the meeting needs you. Show up because, I mean, I've heard Rudy speak. I don't know how many times I have heard Rudy speak. And every time he speaks, I hear something else. Or I hear something that I can apply, or I hear something that I can say different, or I hear something that inspires me even more. So make sure that you guys are showing up yourself and bring people with you. That's the power in this. When we do these trainings, when the company does the Zooms, when they give us the promos, all of those things, they're doing it to help us be better. They're doing it so that we can learn. They're doing it, they're taking their time out for us. So show up and show your respect for that. Be there, be excited, because if you light yourself on fire, people will come to watch you burn. The more excited you are, the more people, like Rudy just said that, the more excited he got about it, whether you said yes or no, he was so excited about it that people wondered what was going on. You are going to attract people to you by your attitude. And that's not just putting on a smiley face when you go out in public or talking to your team and putting on a smiley face. You guys, people feel your energy. And the more excited you are and the better energy you have, the more people are going to be attracted to you. So don't forget that. So that's my assignment. Back to you, Melissa.
Thank you so much. And just for all of you new people, inception volume is the actual point value of the products that you personally sponsor. And a unique account is someone who earns their quick start bonus, one of your new partners that earns quick start, or one of your new partners that hits a new rank. That's what a unique account is. In order to earn this trip, you've got to have 8 unique accounts, 5 quick starts, and 3 managers. Go back and watch that the first Founders Club where Stacy broke it all down if you want to know more about that, or get with your upline. Make sure you've got your tracker. If you did not do your live last week, that assignment is still on the board. You need to make sure you do that. Get caught up. We love you guys. You can do it. You are amazing. There is nothing you can't accomplish. You are enough, and you are worthy of greatness. Love y'all. Have a great night.
Thanks.